The science fiction story begins in a laboratory where a scientist is conducting experiments on spiders. They are injecting some strange chemicals into the spiders to derive results from their experiments. After several hours of hard work, all the scientists place the spiders into a box labeled with NASA, indicating that this entire experimental plan is NASA's, aimed at researching these spiders in space. Next, we are shown NASA's headquarters, where preparations for a mission are underway. In this mission, all the spiders, which had been injected with the strange chemicals, will be sent into space for further experimentation. This is a highly secret and unique mission, as the spiders will be taken to space for more extensive research, rather than being studied on Earth. But what could be the reason behind this? We will find out soon. Now, we meet a lady named Marcy, who works as a senior member at the university. She is in the newspaper department, responsible for creating various headlines. Marcy learns that two couples have come to meet her in the office. She immediately goes to see them. While she is conversing with the couples, she becomes shocked when they reveal that they are aliens and have just arrived on Earth. Initially, Marcy finds all this quite childish because how could anyone be an alien, especially in human form? However, the couples keep insisting, claiming they need justice. Marcy becomes a bit confused and shows them a photo, which is of a secret military base rumored to be where aliens are brought for experimentation. As soon as Marcy shows the photo to the couples, they are visibly shocked. One of the men says, "I never want to go back to that place. The army is very dangerous." Both couples are terrified. Marcy then goes directly to her manager to share the bizarre encounter about how a couple came in claiming to be aliens. However, somewhere inside, Marcy also wants to investigate all these claims. But when the manager learned about everything, he said that there was no truth to it. It was all completely false and that the couple might be pulling the stunt for publicity. The manager, instead, reprimanded Marcy, telling her that she should focus on actual news that people would like rather than these trivial matters. He instructed Marcy to cover all the reports on the mission where NASA was sending spiders into space for experimentation. Marcy pondered over why such a deficiency on Earth warranted sending spiders into space for experimentation. However, due to the manager's instructions, she had no choice but to cover this news. Quickly, Marcy called her two friends and set off in a car, but it soon became clear that she wasn't going to research the astronauts' experiments. Instead, she told her friends that they were heading to the deserted area where the military base was located, knowing that the security there was extremely tight and escaping from there would be nearly impossible. Marcy needed to find out how the couples managed to get out of that place and what their connection was to everything. Thus, she headed towards the deserted military base with her two colleagues, Stewart and Flick. Meanwhile, we are shown the NASA astronauts who are going to experiment with the spiders in space. Their spaceship had launched, and everyone believed they would uncover a lot of results according to their new research. However, suddenly, their spaceship reached a region filled with harmful radiations. Due to these radiations, many systems on the spaceship malfunctioned, causing everything to go out of control. The spaceship began to fall towards Earth uncontrollably. The astronauts inside were unable to regain control, and it crashed directly onto Earth in the same deserted area where the military base was located, exactly where Marcy had come to research with her two friends. The three of them were shocked to see the spaceship crashing down directly, and the condition of the spaceship was so dire that the astronauts inside were. All of them were dead. It was such a terrifying scene that Marcy and her companions were completely stunned. They wanted to find out what had happened, so they headed towards the crashed spaceship. The condition of the spaceship was so bad that it didn't seem likely that anyone could have survived. When Marcy looked inside, she saw that all the astronauts had died in a horrific manner. However, the shocking thing was that their bodies had changed in a strange way, and they no longer looked human at all. It seemed that some unusual radiation had affected them, causing their condition to deteriorate. Marcy and her companions guessed that the deaths of these astronauts had occurred even before the spaceship crashed. Still, they were checking to see if anyone was alive. Suddenly, there was a movement behind them, and the captain of the spaceship fell on Marcy. She was very scared, but her companions rushed to help her. It was evident that some dangerous radiation had affected the astronauts, altering their entire body structure. The three of them avoided touching any of the astronauts, as the radiation could affect them as well. Soon after, a rescue team arrived, along with NASA's head members. Marcy and her friends needed to leave quickly before they arrived, because they were there without permission. They managed to escape and hid in a military truck. Many military agents were already present, investigating the entire area. Suddenly, a spider was shown that had been brought by the astronauts for experimentation. It was a hybrid female spider that laid its eggs inside the captain's dead body, as it found no safer place. A little while later, as the agents gradually entered the spaceship, one agent accidentally stepped on the female spider, crushing it completely. The two agents were a bit shocked, as this spider was much larger than other spiders. Therefore, they decided to keep the spider for experimentation. One of the agents stated that no one should know that their mission had failed. To cover this up, they planned to destroy the entire spaceship and spread the news that something had happened to their spaceship in space, ensuring that the story of a successful mission would not come to light. The dead bodies of the astronauts were taken out and thrown into a military truck where Marcy and her friends were hiding. Those dead bodies were already creepy and dangerous, and now they were being thrown on top of Marcy and her friends. Still, the three of them managed to endure it because even the slightest noise would lead the military to capture them. After collecting all the dead bodies in the truck, they drove away with them. The military truck, containing the dead bodies of the astronauts, was soon taken to a nearby secret military base located in the desert area. The truck was quickly brought to a secret section of the military base, and soldiers started taking the dead bodies out one by one. Taking advantage of the moment, Marcy and her companions stealthily exited the truck. It turned out to be a very large military research laboratory where scientists conducted experiments. As Marcy and her friends entered the laboratory, they were shocked to see various samples of aliens kept in that place, including body parts of several humans. Marcy and her companions couldn't comprehend what kind of experiment this was, where the outside world had no idea about what was happening. Luckily, Marcy had brought her camera along, and she started recording everything. The three of them ventured deeper into the lab to gather more evidence. Meanwhile, we are shown the captain. The body that the scientists were taking inside was surprising because the captain was still alive, and his face had truly transformed to resemble that of an alien. Marcy and her companions approached the captain to ask him the truth. The captain was responding very strangely, urging them to leave because this was the military's most secret place where bizarre experiments were conducted. However, the captain's voice was not clear, so Marcy and her friends were unable to understand him. Luckily, Marcy had recorded everything, meaning she now had proof against these illegal experiments. But in the next moment, strange changes began occurring in the captain's body, as if something was trying to emerge from him. Then we saw a huge spider leg slowly coming out of the captain's mouth. Marcy and her friends were terrified, and at that moment, the two scientists also arrived. The captain was completely dead, but now the spider, which had fully emerged, started spraying its web all over everyone. First, it attacked a male scientist, biting his neck, and in an instant, he was dead. This spider was not only hybrid, but also highly venomous. Marcy and her two friends immediately fled into another chamber to save their lives. The speed of the upgraded spider was so high that it quickly caught a female scientist and killed her. Marcy, along with her friends, was in the second laboratory, where they had shut the door because, for now, their lives were safe there. Soon, the remaining soldiers and the two agents from the military base also arrived. When they entered the main laboratory, the agents saw the captain's dead body, along with the bodies of their two best scientists. Furious, the agent ordered his soldiers to find and kill the spider at any cost, as it could pose a threat to them as well. Consequently, the soldiers spread out throughout the base. On the other hand, we see Marcy and her friends gradually making their way to a strange place. In this place, there were many stairs leading down, and there were also numerous spider webs visible. Marcy had realized that perhaps the spider might be here. As the three of them were on the stairs, the hybrid spider suddenly attacked them. It climbed onto Flick's legs and began to scratch him. However, before the spider could bite, Stewart helped him and drove the spider away. The three of them quickly escaped down the stairs into another chamber. Flick's condition had worsened due to the spider's attack, but he bravely continued to move forward with his companions. Then Marcy noticed a secret room with the name of a secret project written on it, so they all went inside. Upon entering, their eyes widened in shock because the room contained different types of spiders that the scientists were likely experimenting on. This room seemed to hold every dangerous spider in the world. After investigating, Flick sat at a computer and hacked the entire system to extract data. They were gradually learning about this secret project. Here, Marcy found a photo inside the laboratory that belonged to one of the couples who had come to meet her in her office. Marcy now understood why they referred to themselves as aliens and that it might be related to this military base. Flick had completely extracted the data from the computer, which revealed the real experiments. In fact, these spiders laid their eggs inside humans, hybridizing those eggs. This hybridization process occurred effectively only in human bodies. Over the years, various alien civilizations had been preserved in the military base. This meant that the military possessed alien cells, and the scientists were including those alien cells in the liquid that they injected into the spiders. They were taking these spiders into space for this very reason, so that after including the alien cells, they could provide an alien environment. Suddenly, Flick received more information that these hybrid spiders could infect someone just by biting or scratching them. Flick became very anxious because, just moments ago, the same spider had scratched him on the leg, and now he feared he would meet the same fate as the others. Marcy and Stewart tried to reassure Flick, but he panicked and started to run away, claiming he would kill that spider. However, suddenly, it seemed that the poison had already begun to take effect on his body, and he started to deform completely. Marcy and Stewart rushed to help Flick. When they reached him, they found that he was no longer there. Instead, they saw Flick's clothes and a lot of blood on the ground. They realized that the spider must have killed Flick. Now, they had to find a way to escape from this place. Marcy and Stewart spotted an elevator and quickly entered it. At first, the elevator started moving, but soon it got stuck in between. After looking around, Stewart and Marcy decided to use the side stairs of the elevator to go up. They thought that if they could get out of here, they might survive. However, halfway up, a small door suddenly opened, and a huge spider crawled out. This spider was twice the size of the previous one and had large tentacles that could devour anyone. It had laid its web down below, and now both of them were caught in it. The large, dangerous spider was slowly coming down to kill them. Marcy managed to free herself somehow, but Stewart was still trapped in the webs. Marcy tried to help him, but Stewart urged her to leave, saying, "You need to get out of here, or that spider will kill us both." How could Marcy leave Stewart in such a state? As they were talking, the spider arrived and launched an attack on both of them. Marcy had to save her life, so she was forced to leave. The huge spider immediately extended its stinger and pierced Stewart's body, killing him. Now, Marcy was the only one left among the three friends. We also saw many military officers searching for those spiders to kill them, as their leader had given that command. Meanwhile, 2 agents were searching for the spider with guns in their hands. One of the agents, named Brian, pointed his gun at Marcy and began to question her about what she was doing in such a dangerous place. Marcy didn't want to talk to anyone, so she ran away without saying a word. If the military found out that Marcy was there without permission, they could file a complaint against her. Despite Brian repeatedly calling her, Marcy remained silent and hid in a spot. Brian, being a very good agent and soldier, cleverly found Marcy and took her weapon. Marcy tried to defeat Brian, and in the scuffle, both of them fell into the water. This water was located at the very bottom of the basement. The shocking thing was that all the noise attracted the dangerous spider toward them. The spider extended its massive claws and grabbed Brian, trying to eat him. For the time being, Marcy saved her life and escaped from that place, but then she picked up a nearby rod and struck the spider in the mouth, injuring it severely, causing it to flee. After saving Brian's life, Marcy started to move away. Brian was quite impressed with Marcy for saving him. Just then, the manager of the entire project approached them, asking Brian what he was doing with the lady. The surprising thing was that the manager already knew about Marcy because she was a news reporter who had written many things against their organization, which made the manager very angry with her. The manager was so furious that he threatened Marcy, saying, "I will kill you so that you can't write anything against me." However, Brian stood in front of Marcy, protecting her and pointing his gun at the manager. But no one had any idea that the giant spider was now approaching them, having used its long web to completely ensnare the manager. The manager tried to escape, but it was probably too late. The spider quickly reached the manager and laid its eggs inside his body. In a short while, the manager would also deform like the others, and a second hybrid spider would emerge from him. Meanwhile, Brian and Marcy took advantage of the situation and fled. They were trying to come from the lower part of the elevator. If they didn't act quickly, both Brian and Marcy would be killed. Just then, Brian pressed the button for the ground floor of the elevator, causing it to speed down rapidly. When they reached the ground floor, the huge spider that was directly below the elevator got crushed, completely destroying its body, meaning it was dead. Marcy and Brian managed to exit the elevator and escape from the military base. They were both very happy that at least they had saved their lives. Marcy immediately took Brian to the police station. However, they were shocked to see that their manager was still alive, claiming, "Nothing can happen to me." What the manager didn't realize was that the effect of the spider's venom would take hold of him quickly. Suddenly, he began to vomit blood, and his body started to deform. The manager's body burst apart, and a huge spider emerged from inside him. Seeing this, Marcy and Brian immediately rushed outside, urging everyone to leave. By then, the spider had become so hybrid and large that it destroyed everything in its path to escape. Over time, the eggs of these spiders had become extremely hybridized, and this spider was now 10 times its original size. Everyone was taken aback by the sight of the giant spider, as this was not a common occurrence. The spider was attacking everyone in sight, ensnaring them in its jaws. Marcy and Brian didn't know what to do to stop it. Just then, Marcy noticed a nearby helicopter that had a rocket launcher. She quickly grabbed the rocket launcher and handed it to Brian so he could take down the spider. When Brian aimed and fired the rocket launcher, he missed slightly, allowing the spider to escape. Now, the spider had made its way into the city, causing destruction everywhere. They had to act fast, so Marcy and Brian quickly got into the helicopter to chase after the spider. From that height, they could easily track the spider's location. This time, Marcy took the rocket launcher and kept firing at the spider, but she kept missing her target. Suddenly, the spider attacked the helicopter as it flew over a building, causing Marcy to lose her balance and fall. Luckily, she had tied herself to the helicopter with a rope, so she was still connected. Marcy quickly steadied herself and aimed the rocket launcher again, successfully hitting the spider directly in its body. Within seconds, the spider exploded. Together, Marcy and Brian had averted a significant threat. They both looked very happy, and this is where our story comes to an end.